Miami Beach is currently in a state of emergency. They have issued curfews, and there are two narratives as to why right now. One is the media narrative. The other is reality. We're going to touch on both here. But first, I want to start with the media narrative because I want to highlight for you exactly what they're trying to push on the people. Miami Beach imposes a spring break curfew amid crowding and COVID-19 concerns. This is from Vox. Now, right off the bat with this headline, the one thing that you're going to think about is a super spreader event. COVID-19 concerns amid crowding. So what's really going on, if you actually peek into the article, you'll start to kind of see what really is going on. Citing crowds, violence, and the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, Miami Beach city officials declared a state of emergency and issued a curfew for the thousands of people who have crowded into the famed party town for spring break festivities. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber issued the order on Saturday after several days in which revelers got into fights in the popular spring break destination streets and eateries, and as thousands of people were crowding beaches and nightlife locations. Gelber told USA Today that the decision was caused by, quote, a confluence of challenging circumstances. It's like a triple threat, he said. We've got too many people, too many coming in with a desire to go wild, and we have the virus. It really poses a multifaceted peril for us. So right off the bat, I want you to notice something. There are two ongoing reasons. One is the violence that is currently happening right there in Miami Beach, but it's always paired with COVID-19 concerns, always. They don't let it get away with that. As soon as someone mentions the violence and people going wild, boom, right there, COVID-19 appears right alongside it. And as you go down this Vox article, they actually start to more focus on the COVID-19 aspect. The situation in Miami Beach comes as a new and more fatal variant of COVID-19 known as B117 has begun emerging across Florida, where more than 32,000 residents have died from the virus. First detected in the United Kingdom, B117 is more contagious, according to two recent studies, more fatal among people over the age of 30. So they just dive right in to this whole COVID-19 thing and how the super spreader event in Miami Beach is really an issue and they need to close it down, yada, yada, yada. They do not let you think in any way, shape, or form that one issue is bigger than COVID-19 in this case, right? But here's the reality of the situation. And if you move on to a RedState article that is posted up right now on the front page, written by yours truly, one thread brings the receipts on why Miami Beach issued a state of emergency, demolishing the media's narrative. Now, in this article, it focuses primarily around a Twitter thread by a resident who lives in Miami Beach, okay? He is part of the city, and he has seen the patterns. He knows what happens during these times. And I want to make it very clear that what I'm about to show you is not only there's violence, there's mayhem, but the one thing I want you to understand is there's a reason the media does not want you to see this. Or actually, two reasons the media does not want you to see what I'm about to show you, and I'm going to get into that. First, I want to show you some of these videos. This is at a restaurant, and this apparently happens according to a Twitter username, Mamar, one of those two. You'll notice that these things happen constantly, according to him. You know, like during these times, whenever people come down for spring break in Miami Beach, these incidents happen nightly at these restaurants where you have massive amounts of fighting. And also people running out on their bills. So they fight, and then they have, and you know, like this one, for instance, he said, here's the aftermath of the fight that we just saw in there. Everyone walked out on their tabs, totaling over $2,000 before tips, remembering this happened 2 nights in a row. So not only is the restaurant having to foot the bill for these people who are walking out on these huge tabs, but they're also having to make up for the costs of anything that got destroyed. Plateware, glasses, chairs, tables, umbrellas, everything that you know got destroyed in these brawls. And then he continues, as Momar notes, fights and destruction and walking out on tabs are very common. So is the traffic halting mid-street twerk. In one video, you witness 2 waiters literally chasing down a guy who attempted to bail on his tab as women block the intersection so they can twerk. This is like the image of chaos right here. You've got women blocking trucks. You have 2 waiters running to try to catch a guy who just tried to run out on his tab. See, they're trying to talk to him, hey man, come on, come back, pay the tab. It looks like he's about to comply. And then he bolts. But they managed to catch him again. And then, as you can see, the camera kind of pans back over to the intersection where a lot of twerking is happening right now. According to Momar, the fights are constant every day and night, at least 2 or 3 involve shootings. Mind you, this is the 10 block by 3 block area. It's not that big. But wait, there's more, he says. The fights even occur at the airports. They go on regularly in various locations around Miami Beach. You can kind of see here, the fight starts right in the middle of the airport. Right in front of a cop, too. Another night, another restaurant completely trashed. This time, a man decides to use a woman's head as a basketball on the asphalt. Another fight. It continues. And you can see all these videos right now at RedState.com. Here's the thing that really is the problem. Momar, he breaks it down and tells you what's really going on. What you see here are 2 things, he says. Over-politicization of police work. The NAACP called Miami Beach PD racist last year, and this is what happens when you don't let the police do their jobs. Secondly, he says, and more importantly, complete lack of foresight and planning by elected officials like Mayor Dan Gelber and company. He spent more time this past year on CNN complaining about DeSantis than taking care of his own house. Cities get the leaders they deserve. Miami deserves better. To be clear, the MBPD are awesome. They deserve 0 blame, he says. But the city did not give them enough tools like extra manpower to help them in this never-ending battle. So the failure caused another government failure. Failure, closing the area down completely. As you can see, none of this has anything to do with COVID, says Momar. None of it. Miami's hospitals are virtually empty. Vaccinations are now available to 40-plus-year-olds. COVID had nothing to do with shutting down Miami Beach. These videos are why they did it. So let's go over something that I want to highlight why the media does not want to talk about this stuff. Okay. Oh, by the way, one more thing. After the issues, the curfews were issued, it only made the problem worse. It only made spring breakers go out and party even harder, as you can see here. And here. Okay, so let's talk about why the media doesn't want to cover this. And it's 2 reasons, really. One, you'll notice in a lot of these videos that the perpetrators, the people who are fighting, the people who are twerking in the middle of the street, all this stuff, are primarily black. There's no escaping it. This is a primarily black crowd that is doing this. If you say anything bad about black people at all in the media, you're canceled. You're done. You can't do that in the media. They won't allow you to. Clearly this is not look, if you introduced alcohol to any young crowd, especially spring break revelers, teenagers and stuff like that, they're going to get rowdy. It doesn't matter what color, but in this particular instance, it is a primarily black crowd that is doing all of this. So they do not want to mention that at all. The media does not want to mention this at all. Secondly, the reason that the media doesn't want to talk about it is because if they do talk about it, as Momar actually pointed out, they would actually have to zero in on the failure of that city's leadership in preparing the police for handling this kind of crowd, this rowdy of a crowd. All right? It comes every single year. And yet, The leaders of Miami Beach decided to spend more time complaining about Ron DeSantis than they actually did preparing for people. Now, even the city commissioner, this is from the National Review, Miami COVID narrative is a distraction from annual spring break chaos, city commissioner says. Even the city's commissioner is coming out and saying that the COVID-19 excuse is a complete lie. Ricky Areola has seen the images broadcast on cable TV, news, and social media. Miami Beach police officers firing pepper balls at giant crowds of unruly spring breakers, melees erupting in local restaurants, young people dancing on parked cars, and fighting in the streets, the videos that I just showed you. It's embarrassing, he said. A Miami Beach city commissioner, that's not who we are. For days now, Miami Beach has been a focal point for national media, with much of the attention on the large maskless crowds gathered during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. CNN has continued to play images of rowdy Miami Beach spring break crowds along the CDC warnings of another avoidable coronavirus surge. But as national media wants to run the coronavirus surge narrative, the imposition of curfews in Miami Beach and the dramatic police efforts to disperse crowds has less to do with the pandemic control than it does about generally keeping the peace, now an annual issue in this island community. Rowdiness, fighting, public intoxication, open drug use, and guns have become staples of spring break on Miami Beach, amplified this year by the pandemic. Increasingly, Miami Beach has a branding problem, Ariel told National Review. We've got a lot to offer. Our lead brand can't be about appealing to young kids who want to raise hell. This is starting to overtake the brand that we've cultivated over the past 20 years of being a high-end, sophisticated city. This is tarnishing our brand, and part of it is our doing because we just allow it to happen. That's very interesting. So, the police are unequipped to handle this large of a crowd, and because they are unequipped to handle this large of a crowd, many people who have come down there to go wild do go wild and suffer almost no blowback from it. Now, given there have been over 1,000 arrests, according to reports, at Miami Beach just this year, just this spring break season. But regardless, it does not have the ability to control crowds that large. Our police department has consistently said the volume of people that we're seeing is unprecedented, said Miami Beach Commissioner Stephen Maynor, who noted that many of the people who have been arrested in the entertainment district aren't actually college students. Since February 3rd, police have arrested 1,050 people in the city's entertainment district, according to police data. More than half of those people, or 542, came from outside Florida. In that 6-week period, police have issued 11,279 traffic citations and seized 102 guns. So you have an overwhelmed police force. You have a media that refuses to cover it because it would point out the failures of the Democratic-led politicians who are effectively not giving the police what they need. They are not wanting to comment on the crowds because of their race. This is all a massive cover-up to protect Democrats, to protect narratives. And right now, people in Miami Beach who live there are actually suffering for it. Okay, the people who live and work there, restaurant owners, the waiters who actually work there are in danger at all times from these crowds who can't be controlled. And it's all the politicians' fault. It really boils down to the fact that politicians have not made it so that anyone can control anything here. Right now, Miami Beach is completely out of control. They can issue these lockdowns, these curfews. They can issue state of emergencies. But at this moment in time, politicians have made it so that this crowd is uncontrollable. It is putting Miami Beach residents in danger. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.